Hello, guys. Welcome back to the Uncensored Critic podcast. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. It means a lot to me. Thank you very, very much indeed. And today we welcome along not only a great actor, but a great friend of mine, Mr. Samuel Small, or Sam for short. Let's take a moment to introduce Sam. Sam has appeared as one of the leads in Screening Room, directed by Abdullah Khan, who's also been on the show, something we were both involved in last year. As Jake in Bonus Track, which showcased at the London Film Festival, due for cinema release this year in 2025. Nathaniel Martello for The Strays, you might find on Netflix. Jack in The Nest for the BBC. Rob, a regular role in So Awkward, which was a BBC Bafta-Winning series. Game of Thrones. Rev, Tommy in Matilda for the RSC, which you've seen in London right now, directed by the great Matthew Warchus. And some of you might not have also seen him in Michael Bublé's video, It's Cold Outside, as one of the guys in the crew, as well as a finalist in the UK street dance competition and a backing singer for a certain Robbie Williams in his show One Night at the Palladium. And of course, another film as well, Bonus Track, which is celebrating LGBTQ rights, which screened over in the States, which we'll see more over here as well in the future. So without further ado, hello, Sam.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, it's a pleasure, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Enjoying the random sunny day in January.
I know, it's weird. We don't get many of those in the UK in January, don't we?
But we don't get any.
None
We don't
at
get
all.
any.
Yeah, we got to enjoy it while we can, man. I know you want to go for a walk after this, so when you do, just
Exactly.
enjoy every moment of it.
Oh
Cool.
well.
So we start at the beginning with every guest. So for yourself, Sam, where did it all come from? The love of acting?
Um, I can't really pinpoint it. It's kind of been like, I was thinking about this today. It's been a constant in my life. Like I've always had a love for performing. I was a very active child that had a lot of energy that my parents felt that I needed to place
Mm.
somewhere. So I started off with dancing, uh, and then I was going to a Saturday drama school called Best Theatre Arts, which is
Hmm.
quite big in the Hertfordshire area.
Yep.
Um, and I do that every Saturday. And then I don't know, I just fell in love with it. And my big sister did it. So then me and her would go together. And like from that point, I'd always loved it. And then when I was like 10, 11, I said to my parents, like, hey, like, is there any way that I can start doing this for real? Like
Mm.
doing shows professionally, doing TV stuff professionally. And then we just kind of took it from there from about 11. Danced around like different agencies and was going to open castings and stuff like that. And then that was it, like hit the ground running and here we are.
Yeah. Was there like a certain part that you played that which really made you think, oh, yeah, I want to do this for a living? Like, was there a part you did at best which really stuck out?
Yeah, there was. Now that I think about it, because like when you're young, at best it was separated into age groups, obviously, and there was the older kids, then like a middle group, and then the really young kids. And I remember being in the middle group, and being offered like a lead speaking role that was consistently in it,
Hmm.
and I was like, damn, like people in my group never get speaking parts. And we did. It was 12th night, and I played Sir Toby.
Mm.
Uh, it was like a funny role, and I really like fell into it and loved it. And then I was like, I can actually do this. Like, I loved that feeling of being on stage and saying a line and hearing everyone laugh at it. I was like, wow,
Mm.
that's a good feeling.
Yeah.
And then I just continued like trying to chase that.
Yeah. It's just that first moment when you say like a line and the audience like properly, not just like a little, it's like when
Mm,
they actually roar with laughter, you're like,
yeah.
was that me? Did
I was
I?
like, wow, yeah.
Yeah, was that me? Did I say that?
Honestly.
Yeah. So honest, that's fantastic. So, so usually the second question really for a guest is like, what was your sort of training like a drama school? Which I know you didn't actually do drama school. Well, you did
Mm,
best, obviously, which is kind of like a drama school, and you know, it's
mm.
run by the great David and Annette. So shout out to the two of them.
Shout out them, yeah.
Yeah, I've done a couple of shows with David. He's a lovely guy, and Annette's just
Mm,
lovely as well. So, but because that was like your sort of initial initiation into the business, because yeah, you started so young in
mm,
this world. So obviously you've done best, which is like you know it's just like a little sanctuary, like you're taken home by parents all the time. It's like a little sort of club in a way. But then you're kind of you're into the business like so early. Where what was it like starting at the age that you did?
Um, it was a shock, of course.
Mm.
Like I remember the first job that I did was Game of Thrones. That was the first professional job that I did.
Mm.
Um, and that whole experience was completely mind-boggling. Like me and my dad, because my dad came as my chaperone,
Mm.
uh, we kept saying we felt like Batman because we got flown out to Croatia. We were staying on this like little resort. They gave us a phone, like a flip phone, and they were like, if we call this, you have to come down to reception and then we'll take you wherever you need to go. Like it was just the most absurd, insane experience of like, how has this happened to me?
Mm.
Um, and it definitely took a lot of getting used to because as much as that was an amazing experience, it was only a day. I only worked for the day. When I then went on and did Matilda, which was 9 months of my life,
Yeah.
that was completely different. And it was overwhelming. But like to this day, one of the best experiences of my life.
Mm.
Like it's hard work. I was 13 when I was doing it. You rehearse for 3 months
Yeah.
and then you do 6 months worth of shows and you still got to go to school. You can't just not go to school. And thankfully, I was at Sylvia Young at that point in time. So they understood and like really catered for me. But it was very tiring. Like I'd have to wake up every day to get to school at like 5:30. And then I'd finish a show and get home at 11 every night and then have to be up the next day, go to school and then go and do another show that evening. So it was hard work and the quality that's demanded of you is so high
Mm.
when you're at these classes on the weekend or like when I was at Sylvia Young and I was in my dance classes, you can take days where you can be like, oh, I can't really give 100%. I'm a bit tired today, or I've just done this and now my body feels tired. When you're doing a show, uh, you don't have that luxury.
Mm.
Every night is 100%. And that thrill coming off at the interval after doing Bruce, drenched in sweat, knowing that you've got orange slices waiting for you in the dressing room, like the rush of that never wore off. Doing Revolting Children every night,
Oof.
I'll never forget that feeling. Genuinely, I felt at the time like I could take a bullet, like and just brush it off. Like you just feel invincible, and that's a lot for a 13-year-old lad to experience. But like I'm so thankful that I got into it as early as I did, because then it made the work that I do now and the work that I have done since that point so much easier because I had such an insane work ethic and understanding of what it means to be a true professional instilled in me
Mm.
from 12.
Yeah, because am I right in thinking that because you were so young at the time, you obviously you didn't do 8 shows a week. Yeah, did you
Uh,
do? Was it like 3 shows a week that you did, or two? How did it sort of chop and change?
So with Matilda, it was you were on a 3-week rotation. So
Hmm.
you do 5 shows one week, 3 shows the next, and then no shows
Hmm.
the week after that. And then you just repeat that cycle. But then when I did The Secret Diary of Adrian Mole at the Leicester Curve the
Hmm.
year after, that was a completely different split. And it was like 4 shows a week on average.
Mm.
So having to balance, like having to flip that routine was weird
Mm.
because it meant like you had no weeks off.
Yeah,
Like I think in that whole run, I had 1 week off
Jesus.
and was in Leicester, so I was going back and forth for school and stuff like that. It was hard work. It was overwhelming, but that was another wicked experience.
Yeah, I think that's a good point on like because people think I also did Sylvia Young actually. Did
Mm.
the few summer schools there, and I was part of the part-time school for a bit, which is an amazing
Mm.
experience. If anyone wants to go to Sylvia's, I can't recommend it enough.
Yeah, for real, same.
It's just yeah, it's an amazing school. Yeah. But while I was there, I remember one time someone said, "Do you think actors have a life of luxury? Do you think they come off stage and they get into a limousine and get driven off to the best parties, the best hotels, and everything?" No, they're catching the bus
Mm.
home or the tube home. Then they're
Yeah,
going home, probably getting a little bit of food and going to sleep and getting ready for the next night. You know,
exactly.
you see that in the people in their 20s and 30s, but you were 13, 14 at the time. I mean,
Yeah.
what did that do to you, man? Like as a human being?
Uh, well, I mean, I remember doing Matilda a lot of the time. I was just very tired.
Mm,
Um, and like I'd never felt aches and pains in my body like it before. Like I genuinely felt at that time that I was like an athlete.
mm,
Like as a warm up, they'd make us sing the whole musical running around the stage, like full sprint. So we were training like athletes. And then on top of that, while I was at full-time Sylvia Young School, not Wednesday, Thursday and Friday were all singing, dancing, acting all day. So I'd have dance classes all day at school and then go and do a show, um, which was hard. I was very, very tired. And then going through puberty as well,
mm.
my body was changing and it eventually took its toll when I was like 15. I got really bad tendonitis in my knees, which like wrote me off for quite a while. But uh, I always have like to take like because my body is a tool for my work, so it needed at the time as well to be top notch.
Mm.
Um, but I remember my parents were concerned when I was doing that at that age that I'd fall behind with schoolwork. But these companies that are so used to working with kids are so well equipped to ensure that that doesn't happen. So it was a challenge to balance, of course,
Yeah.
but like you still always got it in. They would always have top of the range tutors and stuff like that to look out for you.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I would imagine like was ever like something written into your contract or something that the production company had to like abide by to like provide you guys with support or anyway like support programs or just
Mm,
like a little mentor just to sit you down like a Monday before a five show week going,
mm.
is everything all right? Are you okay?
Of course, yeah. I mean, on every job that I've done, uh, we would always have chaperones that would act as those kind of mentors. And then when I did in my later years, when I was like 15 to 17, when I was doing So Awkward,
Mm,
um, what was I going to say? Yeah, they had a counselor, an on-hand counselor. So
okay.
uh, we would every couple of weeks have a counseling session just to catch up, see how we were feeling, what we can do to be better, what the chaperones and the team and the pastoral staff could be doing better.
Mm,
Um, and that was something that the BBC are really great at, is providing that support.
hmm.
Um, so if there was anything I ever needed on any job, if I ever needed to call a chaperone for a hug and or a chat, it would always be there. Or if I felt I was falling behind with my schoolwork, they'd be there to sort that out. And that was great.
Yeah, I feel like we'll get onto chaperones in just a second, but like obviously you talked about the struggles of this, but I suppose like when you got on stage every night and like you said earlier, Revolting Children when you did that, I mean it's one hell of an anthem. You could see that being
Mm,
played at kids' parties.
mm,
I mean even just adults who are lovers of musical theatre, would love that. I think.
mm.
But when you're on stage performing that at such a young age, I mean that must make you think like all the traveling, all the stuff, all the, 9 to 5 at Sylvia Young and then
Mm.
show 7:30 to 11, then you feel like it's all worth it. Yeah, it's tough. It takes its toll, but you must, when you got on stage every night, it must be like, this is why I do it. This is why I do
Yeah,
what I do.
of course. There was never any regret. Like when you finish, you hit that pose at the end of Revolting Children, and you just hear the whole audience erupt.
Mm,
Like there's no beating that feeling. I've not experienced anything quite like it.
yeah. I mean, particularly for like yourselves at such a young age as well, getting all this, this praise and attention, like, and people always talk about, so why'd you do it if it's so hard? And you go,
Mm,
and you're almost like, okay, here's a ticket for tonight. You see us do that, and then you'll see why. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
you'll understand.
You
Yeah,
can understand, yeah.
of
But
course. Yeah.
but there's okay, so we get on to like chaperones in a way, and for
Mm.
anyone who doesn't know, what is a chaperone?
So when you're under 16, you're obviously a minor, so you need to have constant care and support.
Yeah.
Uh, and someone that looks after you, keeps their eyes on you the whole time, and makes note of how many hours you've worked. Because when you're under 16, you can only work a certain amount of hours in a day. So they keep track of all your timings.
Yeah.
And yeah, essentially they're just there to support you throughout everything. And then when you do jobs away, like when I was doing So Awkward, I lived in Manchester, you would have an overnight chaperone.
Hmm.
Um, and they sometimes would act as your personal chaperone throughout the whole shoot. Or it might be two different people, depends. But yeah, essentially that they're just there to support you and look after you.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think it's important because, one of the things I wanted to speak to you about today is like keeping yourself safe. We were talking
Mm,
before you went on is that thankfully you never had to think about that too much, which is a good sign that you did feel safe a lot of the time and you were
of
looked
course.
after, which thankfully yourself and a lot of people are. Now,
Mm,
so without going down a rabbit hole here, but unfortunately there are some, unfortunately some kids, in this business, there are some, quite dark stories. And of course, we don't
mm,
want that to happen to anybody. So it's like, how important is it to make sure that, and I suppose like, I know one thing I want to talk about is that parents who are listening to this of kids who are similar, who their children are similar age to yourself, like when they started out, when
mm.
you started out, sorry, being 11, 12, 13, going into this thing, it's important to, I just wanted to like share with them just how essential like some of these things are to make sure that they're protected and making sure that they essentially are safe and looked after the whole time and not
Mm.
taken advantage of or overworked in any way. So yeah, what would you say were like some of the essentials and like need to knows for people like of that age starting in the business as well as their parents?
Yeah, of course. I mean, when you're working with a company that has a chaperone, um, they will not be just some random person.
Hmm.
They will have been doing this for years. They will be fully checked, um, have all the qualifications and certificates that they need to keep you and or your child safe. Um, and a lot of the time, you find that some chaperones are parents of kids who are young performers.
Yeah,
Um, so
like
they
your dad. Yeah,
understand,
yeah,
yeah, so they understand what is required and what is the best course of action always. So last year I did a job for the BBC, and the girl who played my younger sister, she had a chaperone, and the chaperone, her son, who was like 30, grew up as an actor, and
mm,
she was the chaperone on all of those jobs. So therefore, she knew what was demanded of the girl playing my sister and made sure that she felt safe to do that and not overworked and not being taken advantage of, and also allowed her to feel included, which I personally think that this chaperone Hazel did such an amazing example of what being a good chaperone is.
mm,
Um, but on these jobs, when you're living in Leicester or Manchester and you're away from home, you need to make sure that you've got someone who is like has got your child's best interest at heart, and having that chaperone, they will always have that interest, and they will always want the best for you to succeed
mm,
professionally, personally, and mentally. So
yeah.
they will always be there to offer like a helping hand. I've got when I did Adrian Mole in Leicester, we had two main chaperones, Ben and Abby, and I still to this day keep in touch with them and see them as frequently as I can,
That's great.
um, because they leave a massive, long-lasting effect on your life.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, just that duty of care at such a young age,
Mm,
they become like, I don't know if secular parents the right word, but but they
mm,
become like another sort of father figure or mother figure in order to
mm.
make sure you're okay.
Of
Um,
course.
yeah, well, I suppose like when you're that age, you want to. just, you don't really think about how do I look after myself and stuff. But how did you like look after yourself during the runs of Matilda when you're doing like 3 shows weeks? Or
Mm.
I can imagine you waking up on a no show week and going, oh, thank God for that. Or just that, or maybe you were just like, oh, I can't wait to get back again, or a
It was
mixture of
more like
both.
that, yeah.
Yeah, it's more like a mixture of healthy mixture of both. But yeah,
Yeah.
how did you like look after yourself during those times when, because it's, just hearing you say that, it's a hell of a lot to ask of someone who's 13.
Yeah. Uh, but I mean, you had no choice really, but you finish a show and you are so exhausted.
Mm,
So you just sleep. And that was the best thing that I needed. And what I needed all the time was a lot of sleep, a lot of rest, taking rest when I can. And I think about this a lot. I have this debate in my head. Did I sacrifice a large part of my childhood, like going out at weekends? I didn't start going out with weekends and spending time with friends until I was like 16, really.
mm,
And in my head, I'm like, did I miss out? But I didn't because I
mm.
was doing everything I'd ever dreamed of.
Yeah, not at all, man. Not at all.
Um, and so it was just I just lived a quiet, calm, restful life while I could at that age. So like I would come back from a show on, let's say, a Tuesday, I'd sleep, and then I'd on the some days if you had a late show, you get a late start, a later start. So I'd uh wake up at 8 o'clock, go to school, do full day of school, then go to the show. So like I felt like I was always on top of it. My parents made sure I was always eating enough.
Mm,
Um, because that's another thing, you've got to fuel your body and eat clean and healthy to make sure that um you can perform at your peak.
mm.
Um, but like I just had crazy stamina at that age and the excitement of it and the
Oh yeah,
passion and the love kind of is the driving force. So it never felt like a chore. It never felt like work. It just felt like
yeah,
heaven on earth.
yeah. I'll bet. And I think you had just any performer's dream of starting so
Mm.
young. Again, just the gigs, Game of Thrones, Matilda, the Michael Bublé video. Just
Mm.
yeah. Was there ever a moment where you're like, is this actually happening? Is this actually happening to me? Yeah.
All the time. Every single job that I do, I have a moment where I'm like, how have I managed this? How have I ended up in this position? Like, what did I do to get so blessed to be here? Every single job, like, it feels like a pinch me moment. Going into this year is my 12th year being a professional actor.
Wow.
And still every single time I get an audition through, it's a pinch me moment.
Mm,
I'm being asked for this. Every single time I get a recall, I'm in the room for this. Every time I get a job and I'm on set, I'm like, wow, I'm so blessed. It's all the
mm.
hard work just paying off.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I want to get on to So Awkward in just a second, but I just want to quickly ask about the Buble video.
Mhm.
What was your experience of that?
So it was really random. It came about really randomly. Because when I was at Sylvia's, the agency is attached to the school, and they would have a sheet outside the agency that had everyone's names on it in the school. And like there was one afternoon, I was highlighted alongside like 15, 20 other people. Went in the office and they were like, hey, just can you stay behind after school for like an hour? Got an audition for a music video.
Mm,
Just wanted to see if you'd be up for it. I was like, yeah, for sure. Did the audition, they did a cut halfway through, and then got a call the next day and they were like, yeah, we're doing a Christmas music video for Michael Bublé and Idina Menzel. How do you feel about doing it? And I was like, hell yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
exactly. And we had like maybe 1 or 2 days of rehearsal, and then shot it over 3 days. And that was like a proper, oh my goodness moment
Mm,
because there was maybe like 14 kids, um, who were all put in these suits and fancy dresses. And we were in this big abandoned, like old bank. Uh, listening to Baby It's Cold Outside all day long.
I bet you were
Yeah, it's
like,
great.
get this song out of my head after those three
Yeah,
days.
honestly, it still doesn't sound the same.
Yeah, it's
It
because you.
still, yeah, plays in my head while I sleep.
Yeah, did you meet Bublé and yeah,
No, no, we didn't. I know Harry Collette and Carey, they both met Michael and Idina because they were playing like a younger version of them.
oh yeah,
Um, and they did some like press for it, but no, none of us did.
uh,
Not yet at
not
least.
yet anyway, not yet. Cool. So let's jump into. So this is what a lot of people will know you for, which of course is the series "So Awkward" that was on
Mhm.
the BBC. Yeah, tell me about how did that come about?
Yeah. So it was again one of them cases where the agency asked me if I fancied going up for it, and Archie Lyndhurst was in the program already. Uh, so they were like, "Hey, how would you feel about auditioning for this? We're sending like your whole class, all the boys in your class. I think it was all the boys in my year,
Mm.
and then a boy from St. Albans called Zach Baker.
Yes, I know
Um,
Zach. I know Zach.
all of us went and auditioned for it, uh, and because my last name is Small, I think I was the last to go. I think I was the last
Is
person
it
to audition.
alphabetically?
Yeah, so
Oh
all of
man.
my classmates went in one by one and then went home. Uh, and then I went in and I was like, they're just going to be sick of this. They've been doing this all day. They're just not going to want to see me. Anyway, did the audition and then got called into the agency 2 days later. Uh, and they were like, yeah, you need to go and find Archie because they've cast you in So Awkward.
Huh?
And I was like, I remember I collapsed to the floor and like was crying so profusely because I was like, I'm gonna be in a TV program. What the hell? Like
Yeah.
I'd done loads of stage stuff, but the idea of I'm gonna be spending 3 months on a film set with a legit camera, with a crew, acting for camera, and it's going to go out on CBBC. Like I could not fathom that. And I ran into the canteen, found Archie, and he was more excited than me. And then I just had an amazing 3 years on that job.
Yeah, it was a very kind of commentary on like the way that schools
Mm,
were at the time, the dynamics between pupils, friends, and stuff like that, all kinds of
yeah.
twists and turns and stuff. And
Mm,
like I said, your character was called Rob.
mm.
Yeah, and could you relate to Rob in any way? Was he an extension of yourself, or did you have to do a lot more kind of work to find him?
Uh, nah, Rob wasn't like me at all. Uh, Rob was very like confident and like ditzy. And at that time, when I was like 15, I just wasn't really that confident in myself. Um, but I just thought at that time, because I was so young, I
Mm,
was like, why don't I just draw on other things that I've seen? Like, why don't I just draw on characters that I've seen growing up? And then, because I went into series three as So Awkward, I watched series one and two and saw how Jamie Flatters played Matt Furnish.
mm,
Um, and I was like blessed because I had that to work off of. And I knew what they were looking for. So I could find the character in that sense and then just go from there. And then we had such fun just bouncing off each other, um, and like living with one another. It was just crazy. And because we had that massive close bond as characters, it really helped that we all had that bond off camera as well.
mm. It did look like a family. It looked like a
Yeah.
family thing that you all got together, which was great. I mean, I
Yeah.
think there was I'm gonna mispronounce her name really badly, but it's Sophia. Um,
Sophia Delalio.
I don't know. Yeah, I was, but I was thinking about the who's the actress in Modern Family? Sophia
Oh, Sophia Vergara.
Vergara. Yeah, she talked about because have you seen Modern Family?
Mm,
Yeah, it's just fantastic series. I could
yeah.
watch it on a loop. Honestly, it's just brilliant. She talked about how Modern Family was like going to work with her family.
Mm,
all the time. Yeah, because like the if anyone who's seen the show, the community essence which they build together is just great. And I mention that because I've seen a bit of the show, and you guys you felt like a real family community and every day. And I would
mm.
imagine that makes the job just 100 times more enjoyable. It's like you're not
Yeah,
going to work, you're going to play with your family.
exactly.
Yeah, that must be incredible.
Exactly. Like leading up to the shoots, I was always so excited because it felt like a 3 month long holiday.
Mm,
Because I'd go and live in Manchester, and Manchester's an unreal city,
mm,
and I would live in the same apartment block as all my mates. So every night we could like go to someone's apartment, sit and watch TV, have dinners together,
mm.
and then go to bed and then hang out all day. And like, don't get me wrong, those working hours were really tough as well because they would be like, we'd get picked up at 6:45 in the morning,
Mm.
and then we wouldn't get home until 7. So it was hard and it was tiring, and we'd all reach some form of delusion and like delirium by the end of it. But that just made it funnier. Um, but yeah, like it was a blessed like experience, and I'm still in contact with every single person from that job, which is great.
Yeah, I could like see you guys sort of like sat on set because as you know, in films and TV series, there's a lot of waiting. There's a lot
Mm.
of waiting around. I could just sort of see some of you just going,
Yeah,
and they're like, dude, what are you doing? It's like nothing.
just out of it. Yeah, just you honestly, everything becomes funny.
Mm.
Everything becomes like you not like it won't be funny, but you will find some way to make it funny.
Yeah, that's as a lead on to some of my next question, really, because we talked
Mm,
just now about looking after yourself during an intense stage project. Obviously you come off, the adrenaline goes down, then you go to sleep. Whereas like on set,
mm,
when you're still a teenager, what was it like adjusting to sets and stuff? When you've got like those long waits, those long pauses in between
yeah.
shots.
Well, yeah, because it's two completely different worlds, of course. Like the adrenaline that you commented on is so insane. Like I
Mm.
saw a study that they did of I think it was the opening night of Cat on a Hot Tin Roof recently. They put heart rate
Yeah, I
monitors
made it.
on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they put heart rate monitors on the two leads,
Mm.
and their heart rate was on the same level throughout the whole show as if they were in a car crash. So like the anxiety level that you experience and the adrenaline, it's completely different on TV and film
Mm.
because you've got so much waiting around. The adrenaline's completely sucked out of it, and you've got to find ways to keep yourself sharp the whole time without draining yourself, if that makes sense. So like you need to always be ready, but in a conserved way.
Mm.
Um, so like you can't just while you're waiting around go and have sleep
No,
because
no.
you've got to get straight back up and be heightened CBBC energy
Yeah.
within no time. So it's about conservation and never really falling off the ball, if you know what I
Mm.
mean.
Yeah. How do you do that? How did you find a way to cope with that?
Um, it's just keeping sharp, Like I really struggled with it in the first season because I would find myself leaving every day exhausted because I would be on 10 the whole time.
Mm.
But I then going into the second season that I did, found just a way of being present while I'm on set and being in the moment, on it, on the ball,
Yeah.
while I'm actually on the set and I'm in my position and I'm waiting for action and I'm lining up. When I'm in that mode, I'm present, I'm on it. But then the second I've been asked to step off set, that's where you can just kind of ease out a bit and just do the more intellectual stuff and think about your objectives and your plans more and reread your sides and make sure that you're ready for what's coming next.
Yeah.
Um, which is less intense and uh heightened than when you're in the moment.
Mm. And I imagine you
Yeah.
have because you know you go with your like your family in inverted commas in on this
Mm,
thing and so awkward because you're you know you feel like a real community there, which we've just talked
mm.
about. But I get this image in my head of like the blooper reels must have been just insane with you guys of just times where you're in the middle of a shot and then you just probably just look at each other and go,
Yeah,
fuck, what's the
honestly, it
next
was
line?
such hard work.
Yeah,
I revisit the blooper reels every now and then. And me and Archie were quite bad for it. But the worst was me and Cleo.
yeah,
Um, because me and Cleo were literally like brother and sister. Um, like we were just chaos together. Um, like when I watch back the bloopers, I couldn't look her in the eyes at times. I'd have to find like looking in her forehead so that I didn't break down and ruin the take. It
yeah.
it it, it was hard work, and because we were doing such silly, stupid stuff, sometimes we would have moments where, so let's say the coverage wasn't on me, and I'm doing the scene with Cleo. Like I would look at her, and she'd be dressed as a horse. And I'd
Hmm.
be like, what is going on? Like, what is life right now? I don't know why I've allowed this to feel normal because it's just not. But yeah, I mean, it's sick. It's so fun to do stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. Do you think there'll be a reunion special? Do you think?
But no, I don't think there ever will. Because obviously with Archie passing away, I feel like it would be
Uh,
disrespectful to him
oh yeah,
to.
of course. Sorry. Yeah,
No, don't be sorry. It would be disrespectful to him
sure.
to do something like that. Maybe we do like a reunion where we come back as ourselves and talk about the show. But because I know the show is still going.
Mm.
They do So Awkward Academy now, which
Oh
Cleo
yeah,
is still doing. If they
nice.
ask me back for that, I don't know. I'd have to see what my team would say. But yeah, I mean, it was amazing while we did it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, you've mentioned Archie a few times, just
Mm,
like celebrate, well, not celebrating. Sorry, it's completely the wrong word. Honoring him and
mm.
stuff. Yeah, it sounds like you guys had a really, really close bond by the looks of things.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like we went to school together. When I joined Sylvia Young, he was the first person I talked to, really. And then getting the opportunity to work with him, doing series three of So Awkward,
Yeah,
and then doing series four and five of So Awkward, where we lived together, was just incredible. And then we went to college together, and we grew up as adults together. Um, and as much as he was a great performer to work alongside, he was an even better best friend.
yeah.
And yeah, I'll always remember and love him for that,
Yeah, well, he's always around you, mate. He's always
for
around.
sure.
You know
For
that.
sure.
I'm sure he's sending you luck from
Hmm.
upstairs, which I'm sure he.
Always.
Yeah, no, big shout out to
Always.
Archie, wherever you are,
Yeah.
Archie. Hope you're well. But
Yeah.
yeah, so we'll talk about the next step because we see BBC with that, and we'll mention the Nest as well,
Mm.
which was like what was it like stepping into CBBC drama, well, a comedy
Hmm.
into a full blown BBC drama with the Nest with something incredible. Was there Martin Crompton was in that as well,
Yeah,
wasn't
Martin
he?
Compston, Sophie Rundle, some
Yeah,
just crazy cool people were in that.
yeah. What was that experience like, man?
Sick. It was so cool. Because at the time, I just got offered the last series of So Awkward, um, and I just left college.
Yeah,
And while I was leaving college, a couple of my teachers and a lot of the students that were in my class were like, "You're absolutely screwed. If you're going into the industry without going to drama school, you're finished. You're never going to work." And I was like, okay, watch this.
that couldn't be
And
further from
then,
the truth.
yeah, and then straight away got the nest.
Wow.
And I'd just done 2 years at Arts Ed, so I was like so roaring and like raring to go
Mm,
to get like my teeth sunk into a proper cool adult drama with an amazing cast was just a blessing and a dream come true. And like I spent 3 months in Scotland playing Scottish with amazing, mature adults. And like I was the youngest on the set. I was the only English person playing Scottish. So it was a challenge that I went into with open arms and loved every minute of it.
yeah. So like, what was it like stepping into adult dramas? Did your process as an
Mm.
actor change? in any
Yeah,
way?
yeah, of course. Because I mean, with the CBBC stuff, like you could kind of take it with a pinch of salt. Obviously, I would prep, but then after a while, Rob was just a different part of me that I could bring up anytime I needed.
Mm.
Whereas having to form Max, um,
Jack.
yeah, Jack. God, I completely forgot the character name there. Having to form Jack, uh, completely from scratch, someone that's so far from who I am, really, uh, was a challenge, and like it took a lot. I had to really work on my accent. I had to learn how to play the piano. Uh, I had to swim, so I was like really, really locked in with making sure I could do it to the best of my ability. And I did such an extensive prep. I've like had like a whole notepad of notes on him, and then had some great rehearsal where a lot of that got challenged,
Mm.
and the director challenged a lot of it, and the cast challenged it, and then I left the rehearsal, felt so confident with what I'd done, what I'd learned, and then got thrown in the deep end really with the scene on my first day. And that was that. And like the shoot was amazing and the program was beautiful to watch. I'm
Mm.
so proud of the work.
Mm.
Everyone in it was incredible. Um, and like it came out perfect time. Um, yeah, it was a great experience.
Yeah, and I think so you said there about the director challenging you
Hmm.
in the rehearsal room. What sort of challenges would he throw your way?
Well, you just kind of in your head, you're like, I think it's this. Because I've been spending so much time with the script and I've been thinking as Jack for so long, I think that my intention is this. But then sometimes a director can just offer a bit of perspective and be like, hey, I completely understand that. But what about this? And
Mm.
just throw something at you like, well, why would you say that you're upset in this scene? And then you're like, oh, I don't know. Maybe it's not I'm upset. Maybe it's I'm angry. Or and you just complete it can completely flip how you perform a scene.
Mm.
And that's what you want. You want a director that's going to challenge you.
Yeah, and of course you mentioned there about some of these titans that you work with,
Mm,
Sophie Rundle, Martin, Compston, and people like that.
mm.
I mean, what sort of words of wisdom do they pass on to you?
Um, there wasn't ever really we kind of all knew that we were there to just do a job, and I didn't ever want to encroach on them.
Mm.
I did just love seeing how they worked, and I think they could sense my like newcomer energy and my energy of like
Yeah.
I'm nervous. I want to make sure I'm doing my best. So what they both were really great at was just being really encouraging
Mm.
and constantly being like, because I was really scared about my accent because there is nothing worse than watching something and hearing a bad accent.
Yeah.
So I was like, I cannot do that. That cannot be me. And Martin, who is Scottish, was very encouraging with my accent.
Mm.
Um, and he was just a lovely man. That really gave me a lot of boosts when I needed them.
Mm.
And Sophie playing my auntie, uh she was like so sweet. She really felt like my auntie by the end of it.
Mm.
But yeah, just the whole cast was wicked. And Mirren Matt uh was just a powerhouse watching her perform
Mm.
on her first job out of drama school.
Wow.
Day in, day out was just incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was the best.
Yeah.
She's had an amazing career
Yeah. And I
since her
suppose, yeah.
second bit of it.
Yeah, yeah, and so I think just to continue that, you've done a lot of. I remember talking to you at the time, and you did a lot of. You did a lot of night shoots as part of the Nest as well.
Mm.
Yeah, and that
Yeah.
was one thing I want to talk to you about here as well. It's just we talked about being on set, during the day, and that's
Mm.
it has its challenges and stuff. Keeping yourself in check and in focus and all that stuff. But on night shoots,
Mm,
it's a completely different kettle of fish. You're
yeah.
shooting into the early hours in the morning when everyone else is asleep. I remember when we did screening room recently,
Mm,
I don't think I'd ever stood in Leicester Square at 4 o'clock in the morning and then there's nobody there.
mm,
There's nobody there. It's
yeah.
scary. It's quite intimidating. You used to seeing Leicester Square just packed with people, but how did you what advice do you have for people going on night shoots and how have you found them?
I think so. What I did for that shoot, because we would start work at like 11. Um,
Yeah, we did. It was like 11 p.m. was our call time, wasn't it?
yeah.
Yeah.
So the advice that I would give is prepare for that, because you can't expect to just on the Monday go to sleep and then wake up at 10 and go to work. Your body
Mm,
don't work like that.
no.
And then you also can't expect to stay up all day,
Mm,
like stay awake all day, and then go and do a full 10, 11 hours of work, because you're not going to be performing at your best.
no.
So what I did with that one was on the Sunday night, I stayed up until 6 a.m. on Monday morning. So I did an all-nighter, and then I went to the gym at 6, got back at about 7:30, was absolutely shattered,
Mm,
and then went to sleep, fell asleep at about 8 a.m., and then woke up at 6, 7 p.m., and then got ready and went to work, and was completely fine after that. It's like jet lag. You have to think of it as if it's like jet lag.
mm,
But because what you're required to do is to go and do the best job you can, you know?
mm.
So you need to take the appropriate steps to do that.
Yeah. And of course, like, yeah, I was saying, well, my experience, like the first time ever doing night shoots was just trying not to fall asleep. And I remember
Mm,
we shot in the Prince Charles Theatre in
mm.
Leicester Square, and you've got those nice cinema chairs, and we're in the
Comfy seats.
dark, and then you're just like, oh, okay, all right, come on,
Yeah.
just keep eyes awake, concentrate.
Mm.
But then when the director goes, okay, action, you're like, okay, and you got
Locked in, yeah.
locked in. Yeah. How do you sort of? I mean, there's only so much Red Bull or coffee you can drink without just
Mm.
ruining your system. But yeah, how do you
Yeah.
do that?
Uh, I don't know. I feel like whenever I'm at work, I've always got some nervous energy
Mm,
that powers me through. When I was doing bonus track, there was one day I had a recall in the morning in London on the Monday at 9:30. I ended up getting out of that at 10:15,
yeah.
and then getting the train to York. Tried to have a nap, I couldn't, and then my call time was 3 p.m.
Mm,
And then shot from 3 p.m. to 3 a.m.
oof,
That was probably the hardest night shoot that I had to do, because by the end of it, I'd been awake for 21 hours, and like
ooh,
I was just absolutely ruined.
yeah.
But the adrenaline and the nervous energy that you hold, and the focus just is always the driving force. And it's a team game, you know. You're
Mm,
all in it together. So if you're feeling tired, I'll pick you up. If I'm feeling tired, you need to pick me up. Uh, and your priority should be getting the job done, and then you can go home and rest.
mm.
And
It's
it's
like
just the best rest ever.
it is.
Mhm.
I don't know about you, but so we get home at like 8 o'clock in the morning, and you've been awake all night. And you see people just out of bed and getting the train into London, and you're going,
Mm.
I've been awake all night. You guys, and
Mm.
they're like, oh, I feel really tired this morning. You feel tired this morning. It's like,
Yeah,
oh,
you got no idea.
if you have any idea what I've been
Yeah, yeah. There
through.
was there was while we were doing screening room, I'd get into the gym, and a good buddy of mine, Rich, would come up to me, be like, "So what are your plans for the day?" And I'd be like, "Plans for the day? I'm going to bed now.
I'm going to bed.
Like I'm knackered." Um, but yeah, I mean, it was all worth it.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So, just a couple more sort of things about upcoming projects.
Mhm.
Obviously, we've got Screening Room, directed by Abdullah Khan, who's also been on here, who we've both worked with and stuff. Any ideas of when that's out in the film circuit? Where can we see it?
Uh, I'm not too sure. I mean, it's completely up to him, but I can imagine it doing some circuits of some short film festivals and see where that
Yeah,
takes us.
yeah. Well, will be more information to follow, guys. More information
We'll
to
see.
follow. Cool. I just want to ask you quickly about Bonus Track. It's the
Mm.
film you've done recently. I know is am I right thinking you went to Canada to do some promotion of it on it recently?
Yeah, yeah. Last year I went to Vancouver Queer Film Festival to premiere the film, which
Mm.
was sick.
Yeah. What can you tell us about Bonus Track?
Yeah, so I in bonus track I play Max, alongside the amazing Joe Anders who plays George, and it's a queer love story about two boys at school who work together to make a piece of music, and discover that their friendship that they have isn't just friendship, and it's romantic feelings for each other. And that premiered at London Film Festival in 2023, which was one of the most surreal experiences of my life. And then it kept getting delayed, and then it came out on June 1st last year in the UK on Sky Cinema and Now TV to celebrate Pride Month.
Nice
And
one.
then on I think it's the 11th of February or the 12th of February,
Hmm.
it is available for Apple TV users in America.
Fantastic.
And then I also know that on like some South American countries, it's on HBO Max as well.
Nice one.
So yeah, it's just been a bit of a staggered release, and it's still kind of mental to me because we shot that film 3 years ago that I'm still being like, hey, it's finally out. So it's been a crazy journey, but one that I'm like so grateful to have been a part of.
Yeah. So what's that experience like when you film something and then suddenly you don't see it for 3 years and then suddenly
Mhm.
it's coming out like, oh yeah, oh yeah, I did that. It was like I
Yeah.
completely forgot about it. Like, yeah, what's it like?
I can assure you it wasn't like I forgot about it. It was the first
Oh
thought of
yeah, yeah, no,
every
I
day
didn't.
and the
Yeah, I
last
didn't
thought
mean
of
like
every
that,
day. No, I know what you mean. Because it was like me and the director, we used to talk about it, and she would say it's a film that has the potential to change all of our lives, but no one can see it yet. And like we had one day where me and Joe went over to her house and we watched the film like before anyone else, and it was just the most exciting experience. But then we just had to sit on it. It was just this massive secret, and we had Ollie Alexander involved. He was one of the executive producers, and he wrote a song for it. And we all knew this song, and we'd all listened to this song a million times, but it wasn't out, and we
mm.
couldn't sing it, and no one knew that the song existed. And it was difficult to sit on it, but it's worth it now that it's out.
Yeah, I think do you know? I don't think I've asked this question of anyone on here yet, but it's the scrutiny of the production company. And what I mean by that is, once you film something, you have to keep quiet about it until the
Mm.
release. So you can't talk about it to anyone.
Mhm.
I mean, especially not publicly. Obviously, you might tell your families and stuff, but you tell them to keep it really, really quiet.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that's interesting about because if somebody does accidentally leak something to the press
Mm.
before it's out, I mean, well, what sort of consequences do you think they'll be facing?
Well, it ruins it. It ruins the experience of what to expect. You go in knowing what's going to happen, and
Mm,
that isn't what the cinematic experience is supposed to be. It should be stepping into a world for the first time and
yeah.
experiencing it for the first time and leaving feeling something different.
Mm,
But I mean, like, thankfully, nothing like that happened. We got papped a couple of times while we were shooting in York, but I mean, that was kind of it. Everything stayed pretty hush hush, and we could only talk about what had been announced. So the film got announced, and it was announced that Josh O'Connor was a part of it, and he was
hmm.
one of the producers and helped come up with the story, and he was in it. So we could talk about that, but we couldn't talk about Ollie Alexander. We couldn't talk about London Film Festival because these things weren't public knowledge. So it was hard
Yeah.
work. And then every time there was an announcement, I'd be screaming it from the rooftops. Finally, I can talk
I
about
could
this.
talk about it.
Finally.
I could finally talk about it. No,
Yeah.
I think I remember seeing you actually in the pub one night. I think you were home for a couple of days from the nest or something.
Mm,
And I just asked you, so are you doing a Scottish accent in this thing? And you just had to
mm.
go,
Yeah, maybe.
I
Maybe.
might be doing it. Yeah, but it's filmed in Scotland. Yeah, but,
Yeah, well, I mean, who knows?
no.
Yeah,
You could, I don't know, you could be Irish. You never know. You never
exactly.
know.
Got to throw people off the scent.
Exactly right, exactly.
Yeah.
I've just got a few more things left for you, Sam. So I suppose really we talked about screening room, we talked about bonus track, which I know Scream will be on the circuits at some point soon, and bonus track is very much going to be available to many people this year.
Mhm.
So I suppose the next thing really is what's next for you? What things do you want to do next?
I mean, I've had like coming into this year, I've had a couple of really cool projects that I've been auditioning for, that have excited me for the first time in a while.
Hmm,
Like I feel excited about what is coming across my desk, and
good.
I'm like really looking forward to hopefully landing something soon and getting my teeth sunk into a complete personality character change. Um, Exploring new stakes, exploring new emotions, exploring new people, and just becoming something entirely different to what my normal casting type has been.
Hmm,
And I'm excited. I'm coming into this year. I'm excited about what this year holds.
fantastic. Yeah, good. Is there any sort of parts, any sort of secrets that you can share?
Everything. I mean, last year I did quite a couple of shorts, which will be coming out in the short film circuit. I had a guest role, not guest role, supporting role in a BritBox BBC Alibi series coming out in a
Hmm,
couple of months called I Jack Right, which is about the patriarch of a really rich family who
yep.
suddenly passes away. But then it comes out that he didn't commit suicide, it was murder. And at his will reading, everything goes completely Pete Tong, and it's about the legal
Hmm,
battle trying to sort that out. And I play
nice.
his youngest son, which is great fun. But I mean, more to come, more to
Yeah,
come.
more to
We'll
come,
just
man.
see.
Exactly.
We'll
You
just
know,
see what happens.
yeah, it's a lifelong journey for us actors. There's always new
Exactly.
things around the corner, always new things
Exactly.
coming up. I suppose what's because a lot of actors, we're not only just we only not only just play for the camera, but I think a lot of us dabble in writing, and some
Hmm.
of us take a step into the director's chair. Do you think that would be something you want to do in the future?
Um, I mean, never say never.
Mm,
I would definitely like to go into producing.
hmm.
Uh, like I have ideas that I want to come into fruition. Uh, I just know that I may not be the best person for that job right now. Uh, so I would love to be behind the scenes producing it and bringing it all together rather than manning the wheel and like directing or writing. But I mean, yeah, you like never say never. I mean, I said I would never ever sing on screen, and then I sang a whole song in bonus track. So it's like you just got to see.
Yeah, anything's possible, man. Anything's possible.
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you know what stories you'd like to produce? What stories do you think you'd like to tell for screens?
Um, I don't know. I really like stories that are personal to everyone, like stuff that we all go through that might seem so small and minuscule, but when it's actually told, it touches such a large amount of people
Mm,
about just small personal struggles that we have. Like, I think a lot about the loss of Archie. Losing Archie has impacted me so much 5 years on. Uh, so if I could tell a story about that, would be fantastic. What it means to lose a friend, what that means to you, or stuff about like the struggles that you might experience in the gym, like
mm,
just experiences that a lot of
mm.
people like encounter.
Yeah. So it's like people with body dysmorphia or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, then I've got in my head some like grand scheme ideas that I'm like,
Mm.
when I've got all the money in the world,
Yeah.
that is when we'll crack down and we'll start
That's the
making these
big
big scale
picture.
stuff.
That's the big picture.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. That's going to win the Oscar, that one.
Exactly.
It will do, man. Just got a couple more things there for you, Sam. So, first of all, thanks for your time today, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having
I know,
me.
yeah, I know you've got just so many things on at the moment, and for you to give me your time today, I really appreciate it. It's been absolutely
Of
great
course,
talking
man.
to you, man. So I just got a couple more things. Last two questions for every guest, which is the first one. What's a bit of advice you wish you heard when you were starting out?
Um, Never get too high, never get too low. Um, my dad tells me that all the time.
Mm,
Uh, but I really struggled with rejection when I was younger.
yeah.
Um, it's like not to toot my own horn, but I didn't experience a lot of rejection. I had like one or two massive rejections when I didn't get Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Billy Elliot, and they
Mm,
left me ruined for weeks.
mm,
Uh, but like moving forward in my life, I've been thinking about the whole never get too high, never get too low. Because I've faced some challenges where I got longlisted for uh I think it was 4 British Independent Film Awards, um, and didn't get a single nomination. And at the time, I focused on purely that. I wasn't good enough to get a nomination,
yeah.
but I didn't focus on the fact that I got longlisted out of all the films that came out this year.
Yeah.
Like, that's such an amazing achievement.
Yeah. I mean, that alone is huge.
Exactly, but I allowed myself to get too high, and then that meant that I had to really come down and experience a massive low. So just trying to play it on one level is the move, and I wish I'd found that out younger.
Yeah. Yeah, but I know it's a good one. Never get too high, never get too low. So
Mm.
never think like, you know, you're like God's gift to the earth,
Mm.
or you're
Exactly.
anything but, you got just, it's not, I mean, it's not saying like stay humble or anything, because that's not really a good phrase,
Mm.
but it's like just be proud of like everything you've achieved, and the small
Exactly.
victories, and just be grateful that, you know, you're in this position right now, and you can just carry on with stuff as well. So
For sure.
yeah, just don't let it bother
Write
you
it
too much.
out.
Yeah, exactly. And finally today, man, what's been an experience or experiences you've had in your career up to now that you'll never ever forget?
Okay. I mean, all are gonna surround bonus track because that was like a
Sure.
completely surreal experience. And I've got three. I know it's supposed to be one, but I'm gonna give you
No, no,
three.
no, no. Experience or
Um,
experiences, man. You can have more than one.
yeah. So number one was when the London Film Festival 2023 trailer came out. And it was advertising the likes of Saltburn and like
Mm,
stuff like that. And watched this trailer. It's got Mark Ruffalo in it, Emma Stone. It's got Barry Keoghan, Jacob Elordi, Robert De Niro in it,
mm,
right? And I'm watching this trailer and I'm just thinking to myself, I really hope they show just a glimpse of bonus track. And then in the whole trailer, I was the only person that said a line. And I dropped my phone, screamed, and I was in the gym and I was like, oh my Lord. Like that is the coolest thing ever. And knowing that before every single screening at London Film Festival, every single talk, they played this trailer where they had this one little clip from bonus track where I say it's unique and all the best things are. And they played it before the Martin Scorsese talk. They played it like, and Edgar Wright was like all people that I've idolized growing up had the potential to see my face. That was one. Number two was the premiere of Bonus Track at London Film Festival, because that was just amazing. Because it was the first time where I'd been sat on this film for over a year, and I was like, hey, now people get to see it.
mm,
And then the last one would be premiering Bonus Track in Canada, in Vancouver, because like I personally think that Bonus Track's a really quintessentially British film, but to be have like flown out to the other side of the world
mm,
in a country where I know no one, and I'm getting up on stage after the film to do a Q&A after the audience has been laughing and gasping and reacting the whole way through, and like knowing that they live completely different lives to me and the characters in the film, but they still resonated and saw the heart of the film
mm,
and loved it that much to give me a standing ovation. Like it was just
mm.
mind blowing to me. I'll never forget it.
Yeah. Here's to
Yeah,
more experiences like that, man. Here's to
exactly,
many more like that.
exactly.
Yeah. No, but Sam, you've already done so much, man. And you lived like the young artist's dream and stuff, and you know you're just going to continue doing fantastic work, I'm sure. And of course, I look forward to working with you on something one day. You
soon
know,
come.
yeah, of course, we'll put it out there. We're going to manifest everything
Mm,
right now. Cool. Sam, this has been absolutely wonderful, man. Thanks so much for your time. It's been so great to hear about your story and everything. And yeah, I'd love to hear more from you in the future. I look forward to more work you do as well. And this has just been fantastic. So thanks so much.
thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, my pleasure, man. So yeah, if you just hang on, I'll finish the recording. We'll have a tiny little debrief afterwards and let you go. But yeah, wow, good stuff, guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. This has been the Uncensored Critic podcast, and I'll be back very, very soon. And yeah, Sam, thanks so much, mate.
Thank you. Thank you guys for watching.